would hope to talk about the metrics more here in a moment. But when people think about aggregate bond, and there's a few of them out there. So what makes Charles Schwab's ETF the go-to destination, in your opinion?
Yeah, so we're competitive on cost with an operating expense ratio of 3 basis points or 3/100%. I think that's worthy of mention. And then, and to your point, there are other aggregate bond ETFs out there. So what I would look to is what would you want in a provider? What's their history? How long have they been in the market? Schwab Asset Management over 15 years. How long has the ETF been in the market? Over a decade. And what is their historical performance in adhering to the index? And if you look at SCHZ on an annual basis, it's tracked that index within a 0.1% annualized since inception. So, it's delivering on its mandate, which is to deliver the index returns. And then on a tax efficiency basis, we've got a good legacy that has never distributed a capital gain, which is what you would hope and look for in an ETF. There's never any guarantee of the future, but if it's had that ability to not pay out capital gains, that keeps you in the driver's seat. You'll pay your capital gain on your price appreciation when you sell the ETF and not from a distribution along the way. So those are some of the things I would point out that make SCHZ worthy of consideration.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. I know we're going to probably show it here on the screen, the graphic, but the tracking errors for this ETF, I mean, A+ grades across the board from the Seeking Alpha quant system here. Plus, you have over $8 billion of assets under management in this fund. I mean, that's no small feat, as we're all aware. I think more people are kind of considering, though, well, if I go to the bond market and kind of lock this in, I know what the yield is. But if I go to something else like SCHD, as we talked about in the other episode, there is that potential for a little bit of capital appreciation plus yield. So when people are considering that about their portfolio makeup, what is the is there a specific weighting? Is there an allocation? I mean, I don't know if you can share any of that, but how should investors really be framing the risk reward scenario here?
Yeah, so it really depends on the investor. What's their demographic, what's their age, time to retirement, things like that. For SCHZ, this is a bond allocation, and so it's really about providing income and capital preservation. And so if you look at the makeup of this portfolio, over 70% of it is AA rated or higher. So these are, on the safer end of the spectrum for taxable fixed income. And, your yield, you can calculate your yield on the day you buy it. Of course, your total return over time will depend on the future, right? If rates go up, that actually could lead to some short-term price depreciation, but then it will actually add your yield over the long term. So, I would say for determining, what percentage allocation should you make for fixed income, that's really a great opportunity to talk to an advisor and then consider where you are on your wealth journey. We have model portfolios where the allocations for something like SCHZ and fixed income will vary a great deal depending on whether you're in your 20s or you're in your 60s. So, but fixed income and SCHZ can really play a key role in terms of being a ballast and offsetting the volatility that's more likely to occur over on the equity side of the ledger.
Past performance is no guarantee of future results. Content is offered for information purposes only. Unless stated otherwise, any and all individuals participating in the video are third parties that include both professional investors and individual investors who may not be licensed or certified by any institute or regulatory body. Unless stated otherwise, the views or opinions expressed may not reflect those of Seeking Alpha as a whole. The accuracy and completeness of content shared cannot be guaranteed. Seeking Alpha does not take account of your objectives or financial situation and does not offer any personalized investment advice. Seeking Alpha is not a licensed securities dealer, broker, U.S. investment advisor, or investment bank.